this video, I'm going to tell you how I went from being broke to making over $800,000 a year killing bed bugs. So it's only fair if I start from the very beginning. I used to work at a car dealership and made really good money there. The downside was that I saw the next 5, 10, 15 years playing out. I saw a lot of the lives around me at that dealership and how they seemed very unfulfilled. And I just really didn't want to go into that future. So it made me think, what else can I do? So as time went on, I started talking to a buddy who was just starting his new business. And this new business was completely new to me. I never even knew existed, but it was killing bed bugs. And over a few week period of time, we would talk about it. He'd be on a job and I'd start to ask questions like, what does it look like to kill bed bugs? And he would kind of tell me, I get in my van, drive to this house, heat it up to like 130 degrees, and they pay me $1,500, $1,600. And I'm like, really? They pay you that much money to turn on some heaters and some fans and kill their bugs? That's too good to be true. But as I kept asking him these things over the next few weeks after that, I found out like, no, he really is like doing this. That's like his day job now, is to wake up, hop in a truck, go to someone's house, heat it up, and kill their bed bugs. It was still wild to me. And the whole time he did this without having some like huge team. He didn't have to have an admin or anything like that. No storefront. It was really just like him and two business partners that were kind of working on it together. So then after talking long enough, I found out one of his business partners, who did not live locally, was willing to sell. He was like, I don't really want to do this for the long term. I wanted to help them get started. And now that we've got it started and making money, I want to sell it to you. So I was like, okay, well, I've already got a van, I've got equipment, and I've got kind of this entrepreneurial spirit of like, I want to do this. So my options were one of two things: either go back and get a job at a different dealership because I burned that first bridge, or start a bedbug business on my own. And you guessed it, I said, screw it, let's try and figure this out on my own. So to dive a little bit deeper, the reason why I think bedbugs made a whole lot of sense to me, it came down to 3 factors. One is that bedbugs are a super urgent thing. So when someone gets bedbugs, they're not like, I'll wait until next week. I won't even call around and get some pricing. Most of the time it was like, people get bedbugs, they're like, hey, I need you here now. The second thing was that they're high ticket. So I already learned this from my buddy who was charging, $1,500-$1,600 for apartments, that you can make decent money and just have to serve one customer. So that was a no-brainer for me, why it made a lot of sense. And the third thing, which him and I also talked about, was there was very low competition. So it wasn't like when you start this business, there's 50 other bedbug companies. It was typically only pest control companies that might do bed bugs. They might have someone there that does it, but there wasn't a real specialist in the market. So now it came down to figuring this all out on my own. So my path was a little bit different because I had zero pest control experience. I wasn't going in with a bunch of knowledge. So I ended up actually going to get a job at a pest control company to finish my license, which I learned out later you don't really have to do, but that's all a learning curve for me. But once I was really going, I started to struggle. And what I mean by that is I didn't know how to market this whole thing. I thought that you could just spend some money on Yelp or on some other of these apps out there and they would get your name out there to get you customers. Now, part of that was true because we did have business from the beginning. It just wasn't the business that we wanted, given the amount of money I was willing to spend. So eventually, fast forward, 1 year to 18 months, I got the marketing figured out. So Google Ads was a big player in that part of it. The branding, I had fully built a business with very poor branding from the beginning. So I had to completely rebrand about 18 months later. And during my process of knowing I was a bedbug company, I tried to dabble in other things like I'm going to kill roaches or I'm going to do rodents. And really it was just a big distraction. So I had to focus in on I'm just doing bedbugs. Now, once all those things clicked, that's when everything really changed and I started making some serious money. So now I kind of want to dig into the growth or the timeline of what it looked like early on to later on. And what I want to show you is I've actually got this little list here of all of my numbers. So literally every month that money was generated, I have a timestamp of how much money, what month, what year, and whatnot. So early on, we started out making anywhere from 17,000 up to about 20,000 the first 4 months. This goes back to when the marketing was I have no idea what I'm doing, but we're still getting customers and doing jobs. Now, fast forward through the rest of that year, having figured out some of that marketing, looks like about month 9 and 10, we were doing about 40,000 a month at that point. Now, to keep in mind, I don't like to make anything sound too good to be true or some crazy high number where you think, oh, I'm going to make 40,000 and that's profit. I'm talking revenue. So just full transparency. This is no fluff. I want to say net on that, it was probably in those early years, 15, 20,000 bucks, because it was really just the vehicle expense as far as like insurance. Then there was the marketing side of things. I had a small salary I was paying myself. So ultimately it was making money, but it wasn't as much money as the numbers I'm reading, which is again, revenue. Now, where there was the real turning point I mentioned was about 18 months into it. So at the 18-month point, I changed the company name. So we used to be called Thermal Solutions, which I thought great name because customers aren't going to be weirded out when a truck says Thermal Solutions on it because there's no bedbug name. But the issue was that people saw the name Thermal Solutions and were like, oh, they must do HVAC. So we didn't get a lot of phone calls early on until we had the name change. So here's what I really want to tell you. When the name changed, we went from Thermal Solutions to Bay Area Bedbug. That was the company that I sold. And we were doing $36,000 the last month of Thermal Solutions, the literal next month. Nothing else changed. No other marketing. It was just the name of the company. Went from $36,000 to the next month of $76,000. So after I had the marketing all figured out, I just kept on growing. Essentially, we went from anywhere having $70,000 months. Our highest month was just about $110,000. And our best year, which was last year, at over $800,000 was generated. Now, over the course of the business, which was about 5 years before I sold it, we were able to pull in over 200 5-star reviews, and we became the authority in that area, more or less the go-to company. Heck, we even had a lot of pest control companies that would call us to subcontract us because they didn't feel comfortable doing the services themselves. So they would say, hey, Jeremy, can you guys come in and kill these bugs? And they made some money, we made some money, and it was overall a win-win. Now, at this point, I was kind of at a crossroads. I was either going to continue to scale this company by expanding into new markets. Being that we were in the Bay Area, it was difficult for me to see like expanding to Southern California with that same name. So either I was going to have to go through a complete rebrand, which was already not fun to do 3 years prior, or option 2 was sell the business and start something new. So that's what I did. I decided to sell the company, and I ended up walking away with just under $500,000 for the whole business. This allowed me to move on to that next chapter where I now have started a new business, helping others start their own bedbug businesses. So a few things I would do differently if I were starting this business over again today. Number one, I wouldn't waste time trying to figure it out on my own. I spent a good 18 months literally researching and trying to find out any information I could, ultimately making wrong decision after wrong decision after wrong decision until eventually something worked and I was able to finally make some money. But given that, if I would have just done it all right from the first time, I would have saved 1, 18 months of headache trying to figure it out on my own, but 2, probably $250,000, because if I had just started on the right path with like the marketing and the branding and all that stuff, I would have generated more money over that period of time instead of what I ultimately did. Also, number 2, I would make sure to follow like a proven system. So don't just go out and say, I'm going to kill bed bugs. Like, have tiered packages as to how you can do it. So what we did was we had a heat treatment protocol where it would be heat treatment and chemical, and that was like our flagship treatment. We also offered a hybrid service that was more like heat plus chemical or heat plus apprehend product, which you might have heard about if you are a bedbug guy. And then we also had an entry-level package that wasn't as fast, but it was more of a chemical approach. So vacuuming, chemical, or apprehend. That would be some way the customer had an option to either go the fast route or the slower route, but same results, ultimately killing the bedbug. And the third thing is picking like the right software. So I went through so many softwares trying to figure out what's going to work, what's going to be the most effective, what's going to be the best customer experience. And again, I made mistake after mistake after mistake. So I would choose the correct software from the beginning to make sure that those mistakes don't happen, to give the customer the best experience they can possibly get. And having stuff like basic scripting. So how to take a sales phone call, how to take a phone call from a customer that's just experiencing bites, and how to teach your technicians. So whether it's video training software or on-site stuff, having some sort of written protocol on how we do these services so that when you go from it being just yourself to having 1, 2, 3, 4 technicians, we're all on the same page, and it's not like, oh, well, this guy over here does it this way and that guy does it that way. So having a clear like blueprint is more or less what I would do now. So now you're wondering, why am I sharing all of this? I decided to build the Bedbug Experts to really help people out so they're starting off on the right foot. Like I just mentioned, all those things that I had to experience sucked. So with this new business, it's designed to help people skip all that kind of BS stuff and go into like making money as quickly as possible. Because when you look out there, there's not a lot of information. Heck, I don't think there's anybody out there right now that's telling people, if you do this thing, this will be the outcome. And if you do that thing, this will be the outcome, good or bad. So that's what I'm trying to deliver to people. So if this story hits home at all, I did put together a free bedbug blueprint. So if you want to look into starting your own bedbug business, down in the description, there's going to be a link. Click that, get the blueprint completely free. It walks you through the 4 steps that I took to start my bedbug business to get you off on the right foot. Now, if you want to go one step further, after you go through my bedbug blueprint, if you look at it and say, hey, bedbugs does sound like it's something I want to do. However, I would like to have a little more guidance, book a call with me. Essentially, that's what I do now. I help people go from that more of a zero state of like, I don't know where to start, all the way to having a profitable bedbug business. So in the description will also be a link on my calendar. Book that call completely free. And essentially, if I can help you out, great. And if it ultimately turns out to being that bedbugs isn't for you, hey, no worries at all. So I appreciate you watching. And if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. Or if you'd like to see any more content related to a bedbug business, throw them out there so I know exactly what it is I can make to help you guys out. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.